good fan, not a huge fan, but a pretty good fan when it comes to the Predator franchise. But again, the comic books kind of skip me. Anyway, this is one character that I have a little bit of knowledge of, but not that much, so I'm going to stay away from that path so I don't make myself look any more unprofessional than I already am. With that said, though, this looks like a really cool action figure. It's the whole reason I bought her, to add her to my NECA collection, even though most of my NECA figures already are just cinematic figures. With that said, this is MACHIKO, as you can tell, from the Predator comic books from Dark Horse Comics. Let's do this. Taking a look at the packaging. This partake of every single video review on this channel. As you can see, it's a blister card packaging, which means it's not collector friendly. So unfortunately, once I open this up, I have to toss it out. And it's too bad too, because this is some really nice artwork with her taking off her helmet here, showing her face. She looks pretty cool. Right, I like the dreads, looks very nice, very Predator-like as well. There's her name, there's the Predator logo, which is really nice. Then we got some information here about the action figure. Over 25 points of articulation. Includes rifle, removable mask, and backpack. The backpack's removable? Well, that's kind of cool. Alright, nothing on the sides, as you can see. From the top here, we got, you know, the Predator face on the side, which is, it makes a really nice displayable packaging from the front. Over here we got MACHIKO again, ages 17 and plus, which means this is not for kids, obviously. On to the back of the packaging, and, well, I should really skip this because this doesn't really explain anything about the character herself. It just explains what's going on here between the Predators and the humans working together as one against the evil aliens. Yeah, the Xenomorphs are the bad guys, right? Even though I was rooting for them in AVP, the original. Not the second one. Right. So, anyway, other figures available in this line. Him, and her. Which, we're looking at her. These two, they don't even mention their names. So, how am I supposed to tell what kind of Predators these are, right? So, anyway, pretty cool looking Predators at that. But there's the Dark Horse comic logo. Figure out the packaging here. As I readjust the camera so we can get a good look at the figure in just 1 second. Alright, so here's MACHIKO out of her packaging. Unfortunately, again, it's a blister card, which means the only way to remove it is to rip it open. And it's unfortunate because it is some nice artwork and it would have made a great value to the figure herself if it were a collector-friendly packaging where you could slide it right back in. Regardless, though, it is a really nice looking figure. She looks so cool. It's the whole reason it caught my eye, my interest. I wanted this figure because of her look, not just because I know the character just a little bit, with glimpses of her in the Dark Horse comics in the memory of my childhood, and that's about as far as the story goes there. But no, this is a really nice looking figure. Displays perfectly with your NECA collection, so we're going to dare to compare already. So here's a good look at some other 7-inch NECA action figures that I have. Here's the 1990 TMNT movie Donatello action figure from the San Diego Comic-Con box set. And here's my Ultimate Terminator 2 Judgment Day T-800 Arnold Schwarzenegger. So she scales in pretty good, actually. She would actually fit in just fine, even though she's not a movie figure. So, with the size comparisons out of the way, which, you know, I usually say for last, but I brought it up, so I might as well have done it anyway. Let's go ahead and talk about the figure outside of her design. The paint apps on the figure is quite phenomenal. It's something that NECA and McFarlane Toys are really good at, so they're pretty much dead even in that competition. So, we do have a little bit of some sloppiness here around the legs, because as you can see, we got some breakups in these lines here, which, it's really nice, but it is what it is. It's a sloppy detail there that I have to address. It's not perfect, it's not meant to be perfect, alright, so that's why it's a nitpick, not really a negative against the figure here. So, outside of that, we do have some nice weathering on her armor. We got some metallic blue here for this area, which is kind of different from the other texture of weathering here, which is done in black, obviously. So, I don't understand it, but it does look good, and it kind of makes the figure pop from the back. It's not really presented here on the front. It is there, but kind of not as you know, defying as it is here on the back. You can obviously see the blue there. This, not so much, but it is there. Shoulder bits here are actually very flexible, so we'll get into that with the articulation. She has her remote controlled detonator here, like any Predator character does, which is very nicely detailed as well, with some nice silver highlights. On the wrist here, we have the retractable claw blade thing of murder death that every Predator has on the hunt, which is very cool. Very nice work. Good. Even good work on the sculpting of her gloves here from both the left and the right. Her belt is nicely detailed. Again, legs are nicely detailed, especially with the side pieces here. Some good stuff. Really good. And her boots, very nice. Very good. Not much I ever really say about the feet here, but hey, when it really does pop, it does. I mean, look at that. It's just, wow. Articulation, which I might as well just go through. Let's do it. So we have a ball jointed head, which is very good, on some very flexible plastic here for the hair piece, so you can actually get some pretty good range of movement here without that much hindrance. Unfortunately, though, this collar piece that she's got here, which is an individual bit of plastic, does hinder as much movement as you can really get there, but it's still pretty good. You can still pull off an inquisitive pose here and there. More on this side. This side, not so much. It's kind of stiff. Anyway, we do have some ball jointed shoulders, so you can get this much inward and outward. You do get your full rotation, which is good. We have a bicep swivel cut as well. Double jointed elbows, which some action figures, mainly female action figures, wish they had. We do have a swivel here at the detonator gauntlet. We also have that here on this gauntlet as well. You know, the retractable blade. We have a swivel cut at the wrist section. We have also a hinge joint for inward and outward movement. We have a ball jointed torso section, which you can get a lot of flex out of this gal, which is nice. We also have a ball jointed section for the waist. Instead of being a swivel cut like most action figures, this is a ball joint, which doubles the impact of this movement here, which you can't do this in real life. You can't, but it's amazing. Anyway, we do have ball jointed legs, so you get this much kicking forward, but that's not it. It does go higher, a lot higher. And then you get this much going back, and then some. And then at the split section of the legs, this is about as much as you can actually get. It's not completely, well, hold on. Maybe. I don't want to look like I'm cheating here because I'm putting a lot of force on it. So if it's not really there, I don't know. What do you think? You know what? I'm gonna put it there. I am accepting it. That is what it is. It's a full JCVD split. So deal with it. So anyway, we do have a swivel cut at the thigh section here. So that's about as much as you get because it is hindered by the sculpting, but it is that good. And then we have double jointed knees. However, though, the upper section gets all the movement with 90 degrees of bend there. The lower section here doesn't really get much at all because of the sculpting of these boots. They can't do anything. They just won't allow it, and that's unfortunate. So it's kind of useless, to tell you the truth. Shouldn't be there. But we do have ball jointed ankles, so you can get as much movement as you could possibly get out of this design. You get some very nice ankle tilt here, and you get a little bit of up and down movement as well. And you do get a full rotation if you want. And the last bit of articulation comes at the toes. So yes, she has toe articulation, which not a lot of figures have either. So she's really poseable. The only problem is that's the end of the story when it comes to good points on this figure, because she is sorely hurting when it comes to quality control. So she has a very loose bicep swivel cut, which is unfortunate because she can hold a rifle though. Alright, her elbows are pretty tight where they can actually hold it up just fine, no problem. This one might droop just a little bit, but it is on a very good ratchet, so it will hold just fine. But if you go about having her displayed with the rifle in one hand only, you're not going to be able to, at least not on this figure, because it's Wow, it's just pathetic. When I bring it out this way, though, it does tighten up. I'm not so sure why that is, but it must be cashing on some kind of flash or something inside the joint, but it does hold this way. But when I put it in a natural position where she's aiming at an alien from the front, not working out too well. Well, it's a good thing she does come with an interchangeable hand here, because originally in the packaging, she actually comes with this balled up right fist. So you can't hold any weapons in this hand, but with this open hand here, you can actually put the front bit of her rifle in there, and she's holding it more naturally looking, and it's not going anywhere that way. So I guess it cancels out the problem with this issue here, but it is something that I really don't want to have to fix, but I'm going to have to anyway. Here's a good look at her rifle if you want to see it. It's good. Some nice weathering to it as well. When I go to pose this arm here, by using the bicep swivel, if the weapon's not in her hands, it's not going anywhere, you see? It holds just fine. The weapon's putting on some heft here. But, outside of that, let's talk about this poor design here. I get what they were going with here when it comes to the retractable claws. It is retractable. If you want to, you can push them right back in, but chances are you're never going to get them back out unless you take some excessive force, or you use a heat gun, and then that way you have to pull them out with some excessive force. Regardless, you're using excessive force. You might run the risk of breaking these things, but I will tell you, I put a lot of force on these getting them out, and they haven't broken yet. These are actually flexible to the point where, you know, if you bend them in just a little bit, they'll be fine. No stretch marks are showing or anything like that, so I'm lucky there. But I'm telling you guys, I'm a little scared to try and put these back in and later on want to pull them back out if I'm displaying the figure in other positions on my NECA stand. So it's unfortunate, but it's an easy fix. All you gotta do is warm this up with a heat gun, pull out the blade because it is a separate piece, and then in the socket holes you can actually take like a small little filer that can get in there and shave off a little bit of the plastic, and that should loosen this up quite a bit. You can try shock oil. I don't know how well that will work, but you know, it's at your own risk. I'm just giving you some pointers, some advice here. Take it if you will, whatever way you want. Her mask, as you can see, nicely detailed. Some clean work, doesn't seem sloppy, does have some weathering here as it's been through combat, which is nice. We got this wire bit here, which, you know, it brings out a little bit of the details on this. Onto the inside of it, it does have some nice detail as well. As you can see, they actually took the time to paint in the eyepieces from the inside, so that's pretty cool. And look at all that weathering going on there. So yeah, they loaded this figure up with weathering. It's a really, really good design. The only problem is that it's held in by friction. So unless you find that sweet spot, she's not going to hold on to this mask for very long. It would have been nice if there was actually a clip or something. Even this wire bit just hangs out like this. I'm sure it probably loops around somewhere at the hair. I'm not so sure, but it's an option. Maybe it could help out with supporting the mask and keeping it in place. She's holding on to it pretty good right now, but I'm telling you guys, sooner or later this is going to pop off. It's not going to take much, especially when you go about moving the head. So, make me a liar, why don't you? Okay, so if you do find the sweet spot, it does hang on pretty good. Last thing I need to talk about is her backpack, and this is the killer. And this is actually my fault because I didn't read the fine print. Oh, wait, he lies, because as I showed off earlier with the packaging, I did read this down below, and as you can see, it says include rifle, removable mask, and backpack. Had they actually taken the time to put a comma here in between mask and the "and", then we wouldn't have this problem, because it's making it sound like this is actually a removable piece. I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys right away, it is not. Don't try and force this off, otherwise you could break it, or you could cause some other issues as well. I mean, obviously, breaking it is one of the things. Thank goodness that didn't happen. The only thing that I did is that I left a good hole in my figure's back here, which can be covered up by the obvious peg joint there. But, having said that, this doesn't want to stay in place now. It is very loose-fitting. It will stay on just fine, as long as I don't mess with the figure, but when I go about messing with the articulation on her, it's going to come right off. Glue. Look at her back. Glue. I didn't do this, okay? I have not attempted to glue the backpack back in place here, because I have some joints I need to tighten up on the figure, obviously, otherwise she can't stand. But yeah, this is not a piece that is meant to be removed. Do not fall for it, okay? This is a lie. Again, if it had said includes rifle, removable mask, comma, and backpack, this would have been a whole different story. Regardless though, the details on the backpack is phenomenal. Like everything else on this figure, there's some nice silver, some nice weathering, very good highlights, very awesome looking design at that. And the shoulder cannon bit is okay. It's kind of small, but hey, it was small in the comics, right? It's that awkward sky blue color, which kind of doesn't really work for this, but it's okay. I can let it slide. It does have some articulation on this very thin hinge, but it does work, and it does stay in place just fine. So there's also a ball joint here, but it works more like a swivel section, so you're not really going to get any tiltage, but you can actually get, well, you can get a little bit of tiltage. Okay, maybe it's finally just loosened up, but you do get a swivel, and I guess if you play around with it, you can get a little bit of some angling positions there. So yeah, it works. Originally packaged, this was actually this way, which didn't look right, and then I realized, hey, there's the front of the cannon. So I've given you a look at this figure in its entirety. I've said some good things about it, which is basically the paint job, the articulation, and the overall design. I've said some negative things about it, and there went that mask again. As I mentioned before, it's a hit or miss. Her weapon could be a hit or miss because, again, this being so heavy and this arm being so weak, it doesn't really hold it too well unless she's holding it with both hands, so it kind of cancels that problem out. This accessory here, her interchangeable hand feature, is a little bit scary at first, but it's not going to break on you, okay? It may take some time to pull out, but rest assured, it works just like any other interchangeable hand on any other action figure from any other toy company. It's fine. This needs some tweaking here, obviously. This figure needs a runny change, is my honest opinion here. It's a cool figure that I do like having a part of my NECA collection, even though all my NECA figures are movie figures. So, you know, it is what it is, okay? Again, hit or miss. Some people like this figure, some people hate it. It's up to you guys if you want to fork over the 30 bucks to obtain this figure here. Again, it's so early to tell what's going to happen with this figure. It really does look like it might have a running change later on if they decide to re-release this figure at a later date, which it desperately needs. Outside of that, when it comes to the head sculpt, I think I did pretty well here. I think I got a really good looking figure. MACHIKO has basically been some of a hit or a miss when it comes to the head design. Her eyes basically could be painted sloppy, making it look like she's scared or something. I think this is just your standard natural looking meh. I could do with or without busting some aliens today, in my opinion. So, again, some good work here. Just needs a little bit of tweaking, and it's unfortunate. It's very, very sad that this is the very first figure in my NECA collection that has some real QC issues that I'm going to have to improve. And I'm going to have to start with those ball joints, obviously. So, questions or comments, you know the do. Hit it down below in the comment section of the video. If you enjoyed today's video review, hit the thumbs up button. Don't forget to give me a sub up. If you didn't like it, hit the thumbs down. Don't forget to throw in the towel. And until then, my friends, this is the unprofessional toy reviewer Hasbro signing off by saying, when the opportunity persists, don't give up on your dreams. Siege the moment. Thank you for watching.